Well, welcome back to the Chat Inbetween podcast. It is good to be here for this week's episode, and we have a special guest, our local parish minister, Becky Waring. Hi, Becky.
Hello, hello. Nice to see you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good. This is strange, isn't it? A year ago, I'd never heard of Zoom, except like Fat Larry's band, the song. And now we're just like zooming all over the place. This is great.
No, it is. It's brilliant. And you've been using it quite a lot for your church, haven't you?
Yeah. We don't do a lot of services on Zoom. We tend to kind of stream those, but we have a Zoom coffee on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, that's nice.
Which is just as well that doesn't get streamed, because the things I've learned about my congregation.
And then also with your curate, Laura, you've been doing weekly or monthly.
Yeah. Weekly conversation.
Chit chats.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very
we
good.
just try to pick up, whatever the mood of the day is, and just try to speak into it. And that's resonated with lots of people.
It's really good. I mean, I think at the beginning of it was I went for the live thing. So we've really sort of like looked at our live provision on Facebook and YouTube and got all the technology sorted for that.
Yeah.
And I think in the long run, that'll probably serve as well, because we're going to continue to do the live stuff even when the congregations are back.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have the creative headspace or the time to do the Zoom stuff. But actually, a little bit of me wishes I'd done a bit more Zoom over them, just to gather people in a bit of a odd but different way.
Yeah.
Just to familiar faces. It feels a bit like remote. It's fine, but I wish I'd just sprinkled a bit of Zoom in.
We've just done a couple of like Zoom contemplative prayer gatherings, and that's been really powerful, because you sort of forget that interacting with the others. You know what it's like when you're kind of streaming and you're just looking at a camera and you're trying to imagine there's people the other side. Actually being in a space, albeit a technological space, with other people, it does have a different dynamic to it. And I feel if the Holy Spirit's going before us, then the technology won't be a barrier.
No.
We've done a couple of contemplative prayer, and that's worked well.
Yeah, I think obviously they're all inadequate compared to the real version, aren't they?
Even the real version can be a bit inadequate at times, to be honest.
That's true.
I just think, we're just an imperfect bunch, just trying to worship God and let the Spirit do the rest of it.
I mean, obviously you're in quite a yearly rhythm, aren't you, with your parish model, the Church of England liturgy and the yearly rhythm. And because I'm looking to change a few things up in the timings of when people start coming back. So I'm going to do a lot more belonging before, less ritual, and more belonging afterwards. Have you got that sort of wiggle room in your context?
Well, one of the things that we're just trying to discern together is what God might have been doing with all of us during this time. Yeah. And so from my point of view, it's this week I've been reflecting a lot about thresholds. And, like you cross a threshold and you might wish you could go back, but you just can't. And so I think there'll be a bit of a sense of, we just want it to go back to exactly how it used to be.
Yeah.
But it's going to have been a year. We can't.
No, I know.
However much we might want to. And the same with the COVID experience. For a lot of people, there will be memories that they have missed that they cannot get back.
Absolutely.
First breath for some, last breath for others. You just can't get those back. No. But we've got to step forward, knowing that God is reaching his hand out. Say, come on, I'm here. I've never left you.
Yeah, no, I think this is vital, because I was doing I did another podcast for a friend about beginnings and endings, and we were talking about how important endings are, but often they're much neglected.
Yeah.
We tend to focus on new beginnings rather than old endings, and then we tend to take things into our beginnings because we haven't done a good ending. Anyway, if you want to see the podcast, I can send it you. But I think that's going to be vitally important going into the future after this in our community groups, our tribes, because there is a lot of loose threads there in people's lives. There's lots of layers.
And I guess, I love the seasons of the lectionary year, the church year. And for me, liturgy helps take us on a journey. And there has been something around the seasons that we've gone through that for me has spoken absolutely into the moment. Easter last year was so significant. There's something around my reflection at the time was, it was a good job that when the disciples were looking for Jesus, that it was an empty tomb, not a full building. We were in those empty spaces, and so it feels. Church of England, we're about to go into Lent. There is that time of wilderness, and perhaps an opportunity to strip back and simplify. As we get ready for resurrection.
I hope so. That's really good. No, I think you're right. I think it's vital, and because I think we live in a society where people are just going to, be corralled or rushed back in to a way of life that for many was becoming too busy and too imposing on family life, on relationships, on community life. And I'm just a little bit worried that people are just going to be corralled back into, these small little corridors. And I think part of our voice in that wilderness is to say there is another way, and there are sanctuary places. And if you need us, we are here, that type of thing.
And the amazing thing is, like you and I, it's amazing that our job are around storytelling. We are people of story. But it's just not this story now. We've got like the greatest story ever told that we're that we align to. And so I think that's the other thing, that there is always something other that we can bring in that doesn't just have to be the limits of what you and I can think to talk about, but there's this amazing story of God and his people from all time and all places that we tap into. And
well, I mean, one of the key themes for me throughout this year, I say it a lot on my lives and I say it a lot throughout this year, is that communion moment where Jesus says, remember me. And in a sense, what he's asking people to do after the cross is to tell his story. Actually, don't worry about what else is going on. Just tell my story. Remember my story. And the way, the truth, and the life. And let's embed ourselves in my story after the cross, after the resurrection, after the ascension. Just keep you reminding yourself of my story on earth. And it is a privilege, isn't it, to be able to speak that story out.
Preach it. I'm persuaded by what you've just said. Sounds good to me.
There you go. But it's good. I've always that all the way through the 10, 11 months up to now, that has been one of the sort of ongoing themes. It just pops up every now and then. Remember me, because that's our anchor, isn't it? And that's our foundation there. Awesome. Well, let's get into getting to know Becky Waring. Okay, so have you got any phobias?
Well, you said to think about this, and I thought, what is it? Well, so do you know, and what's ridiculous is, I don't know if it's a phobia, but I have a real fear of parallel parking, which I know sounds daft.
Which living in BS4,
we live,
is an absolute nightmare.
So if I have to drive anywhere, I kind of feel this heightened sense of and thinking, am I going to get 2 long spaces that I'm going to be? So there's one thing.
That's a brilliant one.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is I have got a kind of heights thing. I get a bit of vertigo. So I really get that sensation of falling if I'm anywhere too high. So
when was the last time that you felt like that? The falling thing?
Well, to be fair, we haven't really been anywhere, have we, to do any great heights exploring. But do you know the funniest place is at the Mall at Cribbs Causeway?
Oh, on the top level.
On the top level. And I don't know if it's because I've got very focal glasses, but that being able to see all 3 levels from the top, and it being a glass panel is I have to run into John Lewis coffee shop to quickly have a giant scone. That's the only way I can feel okay.
Oh, yeah. That's a good way of dealing with a phobia. No, it's an interesting one. I'm not really I don't really mind heights so much. But again, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, when do we ever truly end up in these places where, we are really tested? My phobia is jewelry.
Really?
Yeah. The only jewelry that I can touch is my wedding ring. And I think it's because it has sort of like spiritual meaning behind it. Oh no, I'd be a terrible pirate. Terrible pirate, mate.
Is it like itch, or does it make you feel like?
Well, it's two things, and I think I've realised what it is. It smells, which it doesn't. But nobody else says that but me. And also, it's the texture and the textile and the tactile the feel of it. So it's two things really. But I have narrowed it down to why I've got that phobia. And back in the day, my dad used to go to India, and sandalwood.
Yeah,
it smells really pungent. The Indian wood, it's a really pungent smell. And my dad used to be a minister, and he used to deal with people who had very deep spiritual needs, and they used to give him their symbolic jewelry.
Okay.
And his dad used to store it in the sandalwood box. And I think,
and it's triggering something for you.
I think in my childness, I've associated the two things together, the sort of slightly weird, mysterious jewelry because of other people's problematic lifestyles and the sandalwood.
Wow.
It's a good one.
Brilliant. Beats my parallel parking.
No. Your parallel
parking
it's the best one. I'm going to look out for you in your car. Right? This look of fear on your face.
It is. Never mind.
Well, why is that? Have you crashed? Have you?
No. Well, no, I have crashed, but not because of parallel parking. I crashed for other reasons. No, I don't know what it is, because I tell you what, I am your woman if you want to reverse into a parking space in a car park.
Boom, done.
Straight in there. But there's I can't get my head round the kind of, none of it makes sense.
Did you have to do it in your driving test? Because I didn't. It didn't exist.
No, I was back in the day. So,
same.
That shows shows my age anyway.
We had to reverse around a corner, and that was the only thing.
But,
But no, I didn't have to do that either. I'm 50 next week.
Oh, I'm a little bit older than you.
Yeah, when this goes out, I'll be 50.
Oh, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you very much.
For that day. Welcome to a brilliant decade.
I know. So it does. 1989, I did my test.
Oh, I reckon I must have been 88 that I took mine.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, the time just absolutely just flies.
Yeah, but do you find, though, when you meet people and they tell you their date of birth, and you just think, well, that cannot be possible, that you're an adult and you were born in like 2001. That's just not even possible. Because that's yesterday. I know.
It's good, though. I'm pleased to be where I'm at.
Yeah. I'm loving being in my 50s.
Okay, in your 50 years old, then, have you got a spirit animal? What would you define? Oh, you have. I can see in your eyes. They all lit up then. You're like, yeah, I've got a spirit animal. Well,
I kind of thought, when you mentioned this might be a question, I thought, what would my dream animal be? And as a child, I'm probably a teenager, I really wanted a Palomino pony.
A Palomino pony?
Yeah. So Palomino ponies are kind of a really lovely, creamy coloured pony with like slightly darker ears, but they are gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I really, that would be it. It would be the Palomino pony. And I shared.
Are they wild? Are they?
No. If you were going to get a horse, like if you were going to have a horse, you'd get a Palomino because they are beautiful.
They're lovely, aren't they?
I had 2 students on placement with me, and I was telling them about, this one wish I had. So I did get it to show you, because when they left, they bought me a little present.
Okay.
Look. It's the closest I'm ever getting to a Palomino pony.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the pictures and looking at your teddy bear.
I know, not quite the same, but it might be as close as I'm getting. So, so I think that would be it. They're beautiful. I love horses.
You know what, though? What I'll do is I'll put a picture on this video of one. They're incredible, aren't they? They look like something out of a Disney film.
They're amazing.
They're really almost like stallion, very healthy horses, but they've got this amazing blonde, really white hair and tail, haven't they?
You can just imagine them
swishing. Yeah.
Because you're worth it.
Oh, that is nice. And what is it about a horse that is sort of, is it the looks of it that you relate to, or is it the freedom of it?
I just think it's that they have such personalities, you know, and there's such a gentleness about them. And I think it's just I learned to ride a horse when I was younger, and I wasn't amazing on horseback, but I loved, just, it felt like you were with another being, another created being that had thought and intelligence and personality, and I felt a real sense of connection. And even now, you know, I just think there's nothing finer than just putting your face against a horse's muzzle and just feeling the connection. Beautiful.
See, my wife, Heather, she has horse. I've never ridden a horse in my life. Maybe I should do that in my family. That should be on one of my bucket lists.
It could be. For
50.
In your 50th year.
Yeah. I do love the idea, though, that we can be connected to nature like that and feel that. Because often I think humans we live in such a 2D universe, like compared to the ecosystem all around us, especially city dwellers. Whereas actually being on a horse and engaging with that and moving with it, and you can really have that sense of connection.
And honestly, I quite like the smell as well, which I know is a bit weird, but I love the smell of a horse.
So you like to smell good, you like to be connected, and you'd love blonde hair. Like
I don't know about that.
Swishy hair.
I love a Palomino pony.
Have you ridden one in real life, or
never ridden a Palomino. No.
There you go. That's your post-COVID challenge. I want to see photos. That's where you've got to treat yourself.
Oh, that could come to one of your other questions that you might ask about inheriting lots of money. But
yeah. So that's a great answer. A Palomino pony. I'll put a picture up as well when it comes up so people can see it. They are absolutely tremendous looking animals. Beautiful. Yeah. So if you went to a record player right now, or switched your iPod on, or, you know, just press play on Alexa and said, Alexa, play this song, what song would you want to hear coming out of that thing?
Michael Bublé, Beautiful Day, every time.
Bublé.
Beautiful
and
Day.
What song is it, sorry?
It's A Beautiful Day.
Oh, yeah.
I can't stop myself from smiling.
Well, let's put it on. If I can. Oh, there he is. The boob. Can you hear that?
Just, I can hear the tinkle of it in the background. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's good, isn't it?
It's a real fun track.
Yeah. He's got a great voice, Michael Bublé.
We were due to go and see him last year in concert. That was like the best Christmas present my husband has ever bought in our 100 years of marriage, what it feels like sometimes. The surprise Christmas present was tickets to Michael Bublé at Bath.
Oh no.
And then
the outdoor concert. It was outdoors, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then along came COVID.
Damn you, COVID!
I can't see Michael Bublé. Yeah, it's lush.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. It's really good. Yeah. He's great, Michael Bublé. I think I don't know. I think sometimes these big band people, they're sort of put in a little niche corridor, aren't they? And people are a bit snooty about them. But he's really crossed over into the general world, and
and I think he does it all with a twinkle in his eye. You know, I just think he's not taking himself too seriously. I mean, he's had huge personal issues, hasn't he? Because his son contracted leukemia, and I just think it's those things that connect stories again, as we were saying before. And I mean, he's an amazing singer, and his songs are catchy, and it's not Christmas until you've had the Michael Bublé Christmas album on. But that particular song, you know, there's such a lightness to it. I think it's about actually him just saying to his ex, "I'm so over you," or something like that. Yeah. But it's one of the lines is something like, "And if it even started raining, you wouldn't hear this boy complaining." You know, and I just think there's those days where it's a beautiful day.
So are you a cup half full or a cup half empty type of person?
Half full. In fact, probably overflowing all the time.
That's
genuinely.
Good.
Yeah, I know I am positive. I'm a positive person.
Yeah.
That's not to say I don't kind of experience the whole breadth of emotion, but yeah, I am.
I think the phrase that I sort of thought about myself in the past, because I'm an optimist, my mum is, and I'm very much like my mum, a realistic optimist.
Yeah.
I think it sort of sums it up for me, and understanding, and I'm not naive. I'm not just sort of like grinning through every day.
No, it's not like a Pollyanna kind of thing. You know, Pollyanna, which was all of his sad, make it glad. It's not that thing at all, but it is I do come from a place of positivity.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
No, I think it's a real blessing to have that nature, you know, especially in the pastoral work.
But you know, if you think of again our jobs, our faith, we live in hope. That is, you know, the sure and certain hope that's been given to us. So, I mean, even when we're lamenting, even when we're grieving, we've got a story of hope.
Yeah, I think it's a good starting place, though, optimism. Because then if you because obviously you go through times when hope is drained, and you know, but actually your bucket's fuller at the start of that process.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine, you know, it must be so hard for people who are, I mean, you've probably come across them in your ministry. I have, who are pessimists, you know, who are, you know, Marvin the robots from Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy. And you just think, oh, you know, when life hits hard, it really seems to hit them hard because they're already in a sort of pessimistic personality.
Or that expectation of doom, you know.
Yeah, it's come to fruition.
Yeah.
I told you so. Yeah. I do think as an optimist, though, we do have to care for, you know, our well-being can be impacted because a lot of the time, I don't know if you find this, but sometimes I find people's perceptions of me can be that I'm too hope-filled and too optimistic and too okay. I'm too independent. And sometimes I do need people to come alongside me and say, are you all right? How are you doing? You know?
Well, sometimes, you know, you can't carry the weight of everybody else's need for positivity.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Just because I am naturally a positive person, it doesn't mean that I can you know, it's not an endless cup that doesn't need to be topped up.
Yeah.
So I know I need to also be taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that I'm being nourished and looked after and spiritually filled in order to then go from a place of overflow as opposed to deficit.
Yeah, no. And do you do anything in particular to make that happen? Have you got regular rhythms of, you know, obviously, like, do you go on retreats? Do you?
In the good days, yes. So I go on a retreat each year, but I've got a really amazing soul friend, and so I've got somebody we kind of meet up once a month and can just about say anything to each other and really encourage each other.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing to have. Yeah, I think we do have our well-being. We have to care for it.
Yeah,
you know, and you learn that over the years through experience, don't you? And you have to guard it a little bit more, especially, you know, in your 20s and your 30s, you're pretty elastic, pretty flexible, pretty adaptable. But then as you go through time, you really think, okay, I need to look after this.
I think also what comes with maturity, I hope anyway, is the kind of recognizing the signals. You know, I've been on my knees many a times for the wrong reasons because I've just crashed.
Yeah.
Not so much now, not in the last sort of decade or so, where I feel I can just recognize the symptoms of overdoing it, you know, trying to
volume down a
overachieve.
bit.
Yeah, exactly that. And then knowing that it's okay to say, actually, today I need a day of self-care, grab my journal,
off you go,
write all the stuff out that I need to get out.
No, I think it's vital. It's very good. Yeah. Okay, then. So you can't say Jesus for this answer because that is cheating. So
but the answer to everything is always Jesus.
We know that. And all your answers are just shadows to Jesus anyway. So
like that.
So who is your favorite biblical character?
So it's Mary.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So I could possibly ruin this song for everybody who likes it, but you know the whole Mary, did you know?
Yeah.
I just heard a parody at Christmas where someone was singing, "Yes, I flipping knew," or words to that. And I thought, yeah, of course Mary knew. I mean, Mary had that intimate conversation with Gabriel where he explained everything.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, she was able to say, let it be according to your will.
Yeah.
And then she sings that amazing Magnificat.
Yeah.
There's Mary's song, my soul just declares joy for God. And there's a story to be told about how the poor are going to be raised up and how prisoners are going to be set free. That is Mary's song. Yeah. And I just imagine her with Jesus as an infant, that's the lullaby she's singing to him night after night. And so this baby is growing up hearing these radical, strong words from this woman who is nurturing him. And she stays with him right to the cross. There's not a moment where she says it's too much for me, and this gift that I said I would do, it's too much. Not at one point does she step away. She journeys with him right to the cross. I just think, what a woman.
I know. I mean, she's a faithful woman of the Torah. I mean, she's a faithful woman. I mean, she's a righteous woman, and that's why she's chosen. So she already knows the promises.
Exactly.
She already understands who the Savior is. I mean, she's young at that point, but she would definitely have a grasp in, hearing the stories of the Torah, hearing the stories of the Savior to come, especially in that time of oppression around the Roman times. I'm sure it would have been on their lips.
And also, God sent an angel to tell her exactly how it was going to be. Exactly. So, who would we be in the 21st century to say, "Oh, Mary, did you know that this was going to happen?"
Yes, I did actually.
Yes, I did know.
I know. It's incredible, isn't it? The humanity of it and the faithfulness of her. Funny enough, this is the second. Mary was on the first podcast, and one of my church members chose Mary as well. She's an incredible character. And even afterwards, even after the resurrection, in a way, she's got to say goodbye to her son twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ascension, she's seen him die on the cross. She would have seen him after the cross, and then she's got to say goodbye to him again.
I know.
I never even thought of that until now, to be honest.
But that's when those words, "and a sword will pierce your own soul too," is like, oh, Mary, this is, you are in this.
I know. And she is in. I mean,
fully in.
Being around the cross at the end with the others, the few.
Yeah.
There she is, this faithful woman.
Yeah.
I know. Imagine the mixed feelings she would have had at that moment.
Yeah.
About. I mean, she's human, so she would have been full of doubt, I'm sure, even then. Like, was that angel really telling the truth? Is this really it?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like it right now. This looks bad, you know. Oh, man.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, brilliant choice. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And have you got a favourite worship song or church song or hymn?
Well, every time I hear one, I think, oh no, that's my favourite now. But I guess if I was to go through my Alexa playlist, the one that comes up over and over would be Hillsong, "What a Beautiful Name."
Yeah.
Wouldn't be at all anything we would play at St. Martin's Church. It's not our tradition at all. But for me, if I want a bit of good soul food, it would be that one.
Yeah, I like that phrase, soul food. Mm. They've done some great stuff over the years.
Yeah.
Some brilliant community music, faith music. Have you been to a Hillsong concert?
No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But what I love though is this, it kind of builds up this power of who Jesus is. And it's not the kind of Jesus is my mate, Jesus is my best buddy. It's like we're talking might and power and awe and beauty. Just that's what that name represents.
Funnily enough, it feels like a song that Mary could have sung to Jesus.
Yeah. Yes.
Doesn't it?
It could be. Yeah.
As she's looking at this little baby. What a beautiful name, full of power, full of awesomeness. That's who you're going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's a swell, isn't it? I mean, I think the good sort of modern Christian music, from 10,000 Reasons to a Cornerstone to different ones. It's that swell of emotion.
Yeah. And it's not just noise, it's not just a noise. It is a real
melody.
Like the Power of the Cross was the other one that, Oh to see the dawn. That was the other one I almost went for, because that's got the same. It just starts really simply, and then it comes to we stand forgiven at the cross, that kind of, we're in it. That we make that choice.
I mean, you sort of mentioned it. I mean, with your tradition that you're in, it's high church tradition, and which is awesome. But do you wish there was some crossover every now and then to the more sort of contemporary sort of worship stuff to enhance your liturgy and enhance your high church?
What we were trying to do pre-COVID was each week, even if it was one of our high services, would be to have 2 more contemporary pieces. Now, for us, contemporary could mean 1976, but hey, we're moving.
Sure.
Do you know, there was one experience I had where I thought this blend of where the tradition and the more contemporary can come together, and it was where there's the I will trust in him alone.
Oh yeah.
The Lord's my shepherd.
The Stuart Townend one,
And we had 2 Martins at the time. Martin, who played the organ, and then Martin, who played the piano. And Martin started it with quite a modern interpretation on the piano, and then the other Martin came in with the organ.
Oh yeah.
And I just I was trying to walk. So we process our gospel into the middle of the church to read it. I'm walking sobbing, because I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? It was just a holy moment.
That's nice.
Of and I just think it doesn't have to be one or the other. There are so many ways we bring the best.
I went to a just to encourage you though. I went to a mission worship conference, and me and a friend went. We went to this seminar called Ancient and Modern.
Okay.
And it was actually Stuart Townend who was delivering the thing. So we went thinking, as worship leaders and, in our world, thinking, that'll be interesting, ancient and modern. Thinking it, I don't know what we thought, but we thought it was something. Anyway, he stood up, and then we were looking at each other, and he said, and he was talking to a particular charismatic evangelical crowd. And he said, I just want to encourage you and your congregations, maybe on a Sunday, why don't you put some scriptures up on the screen? So me and my friend were like, because we're the good Nazarenes, have scriptures on the screens, and we're like looking at each other, what did he just say? And he said, every now and then maybe you could really just maybe do some like focus prayers, like liturgy prayers. And it was like, what? And they were like the polar opposite of the high church movement. And they'd actually sometimes taken out some of the basic stuff that we wouldn't even think, the scriptures, the liturgy, the sort of corporate prayer stuff, to focus on contemporary worship. And I think if you can find that middle balance, if you can find that middle road between ancient and modern, and somehow come up with this wonderful spiritual brew, it's super powerful, I think.
It absolutely is, because ultimately, from my perspective, it's about engaging all of the senses. So, we use loads of symbols, smells, actions, words, music, and all of that is kind of raised up as prayer, sacrament, word. And I just get fed up with the whole, it's one end or the other. I just don't think it's linear. I think it's about that beautiful blend of pulling together the best of what we have. Because that's what our worship should be. Firstly,
I agree.
Worshipping God at the end of the day. So we want it to be honourable. We want it to be good.
I hear that.
We do sort of try to just gradually introduce some of these more contemporary.
I think what's interesting about, because I came from the charismatic movement, and I mean the Nazarenes, a bit like you, they love Shine Jesus Shine. Let's just say that, right? I mean, I'm like, please no. They all stand up, and I'm like, oh man, like, why didn't you sing the new Amazing Grace just as well as you sang Side? Anyway, but it's just like, oh please. But I think partly though is the contemporary worship tradition. It's an emotional tradition, and it is tapping into that emotional love connection between us and God. My charismatic upbringing was an emotional experience, and for good and for bad, wheat and chaff, of course. But I wonder whether some of our sort of older traditions, our older, more traditional congregations don't understand. So they're a bit more passive in there, and they are receivers rather than proactive worshippers in that sense.
I think it's exactly that. And I think there's also something around a privacy to faith.
Yeah.
It's like it's my private.
Yeah.
It's so intimate that for some of our older people, it's like we don't talk about this stuff, so we don't want to sing about it.
Yeah, but it's so that, but they're really faithful, really true,
completely
Christ-centered, yes, awesome Christians. But the way they express that publicly and privately is so different than some of the more contemporary evangelical stuff.
Yeah, but then as we're saying,
and why not?
I'm just thinking, my song is Love Unknown. I mean, that's a really old, beautiful hymn that speaks about a love story between.
That is humanity. One of my favorite songs of all time. It is beautiful.
It is absolutely beautiful,
and it's old.
Yeah,
but it sounds contemporary.
I think it's late 18th century.
Let's have a listen while I've got it up.
Yeah,
I think this is it. It's way ahead of its time. I don't know. I've always thought that. I'm sure if you play it on I don't know what this version is. It might be like full on organ version and sound like a dirge, but here we go. Yeah, I think it works in any setting. You can imagine Hillsong singing something like this.
Yeah.
But in the middle of it, they'd put a massive rap.
Or just a big ka-dum, dum, dum.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of my favorite hymns of all time.
And it's a song of love, isn't it? Yeah. And it doesn't allow it to be passive.
And what a great lyric as well. My song is Love Unknown. Isn't it?
Love to the loveless shame that we might lovely be. I mean,
yeah. What's that one? I don't know what hymn it is, but is it Blaze Like Inextinguishable Fire? Is that Thine Be the Glory? I think it might be Thine Be the Glory.
Love it.
I mean, Gary Barlow couldn't put that into a song.
Inextinguishable. Careful. Just careful, because Gary is up there on my list with Michael.
Well, I think he's a great songwriter too.
Okay, continue.
I do. I think he does need to take that occasionally to help him out with.
Don't we all need to take that occasionally? I saw them at Ashton Gate. Oh, that was a moment.
Oh, did you go?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
It's the fourth time I've seen them.
I saw. Did you watch it in COVID lockdown 1 when they released they did a live with Robbie?
Yes. In their garage. Brilliant.
Got cracking voices.
And Gary Barlow doing his crooner session through,
I don't like it when they go crooner. They should leave it up to the Bublé.
You almost lost me. You reeled me back in again.
There's definitely some of them who are, like even Robbie Williams when he did his crooner stuff. You're like, Robbie, it's great, but leave it to the Harry Connick Juniors and the Bublé.
Yeah,
they really are good at it.
They really do know what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I did say this, Gary Barlow's Christmas song, it was very, it was real big band, wasn't it?
It was.
And actually, I said, that is a great song, but that would be a worldwide smash hit if Bublé sang it.
Yes.
They would. And that's not me. I love Gary Barlow, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. It's just the weight of the name. And
he should have literally given it to Bublé and he would have been like Bill Gates, billionaire.
Yeah.
Well, we came off there. What was I can't even. It was Hillsong, wasn't it? What a beautiful
It was my music.
That's amazing. Yeah, it is great. And I just feel at the moment that I don't know about you, but a lot of people, especially outside of the Christian faith, don't understand the creativity that's in the faith now. I still feel that people have got this old-fashioned stereotype about what church is and what it can be.
Yeah.
Whereas now they are, I'm a big, I don't know if you know the Bible Project from America, the animations.
I've seen some of them. Yeah.
They are stunning animations with great theology, just as good as any other thing that you could see contemporary and creatively in the world. And there's so much good stuff now.
Yeah.
But I do think people think we are this musty, dusty, old-fashioned people, sometimes.
All in our socks and sandals. Yeah.
Maybe they'll come back. Hope not.
Hasn't research shown something like over this last year, something like 1 in 4 adults has some kind of spiritual connection with the church, has made some kind of attempt to connect?
Yeah.
That's massive figures.
It is.
I was talking to somebody this morning who said after the Second World War, there was this outpouring of people to come to churches. I said, but they're doing it. They're just doing it differently.
Just doing it different.
They won't
necessarily... But we're
continuing
continuing after... We're going to set up our church so we live stream every Sunday.
Yeah, we're going to do the same.
It's just going to be there now forever.
Yeah.
And I think it's just got to be part of our... I don't know about you, but what COVID allowed us to do, well, me to do particularly, is just get off the hamster wheel. We were busy with good projects, good community work, and we had no time to learn how to do audio and tech and online stuff. And now it's second nature to me, so we'll be able to just adapt that straight in. And then there's that modernity at the edge of our church, which we never had.
The learning curve was so steep, wasn't it, for all of us? But huge. That's if we'd have said a year ago, tried to introduce this, it would have been like, well, for our church, 5 years later, we'll still be writing the plan, and yet here we are, we're doing it.
I agree. I think it is. Well, that's probably the final question, so we won't.
Okay.
Don't want to zoom ahead. So subjectively, not what is the best film, but what is your favourite film?
Grease, 1977, John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah.
I love that film. As a child, I knew every single word, every word. And even now, if it's on the television, my dad will phone me and say, Rebecca, because I'm Becky. I'm Becky to everybody else, Rebecca to mum and dad. Rebecca. No. Have you seen on Channel 4, Grease is on? It's like, I know, Dad, I've got it on in the background. And that's like, now.
I know. So will that be the most watched film as well that you watched?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would
it's a great movie. Great movie. It really is.
I just hadn't realised, I think it was fairly recently I read something like how old the actors were compared to the parts they were playing.
Yeah.
Like, they were in their 30s trying to be
18.
Late teens.
Yeah, no.
Which is hysterical, but it's an amazing film.
It is, and it happens quite a lot in Hollywood. That I was watching. It's called it's these actors, and they're talking about, and it was Jared Leto, who's and he's the same age as me. He's 50. I'm looking at him thinking, no, how? Makeup and good food. But he looks so young. These people, they just look so young, but they live the high life and they have the best food and the best lifestyle.
Well, and it's all the pampering in the little injection here and there, I'm sure.
I'm sure, maybe, yeah. But Grease is a cracking. Have you got a favourite song?
I would say, well, I love Hopelessly Devoted.
Yeah.
Amazing. And it's that moment at the end where she's got his piece of paper in the pond and suddenly his face appears and she just runs her finger through like, hopelessly devoted to you, and he disappears. It's like, oh, Sandy. It's not even halfway through the film. We know you're going to get back together, but that moment, just poignant.
Are you a musical person then? Do you like musicals other than Grease?
I love musical theatre.
Yeah.
Oh, I think in another life and with another voice.
Yeah, I know.
I love it. I love it.
I know. They are incredible. Yeah. Incredible.
Les Mis is like...
Well, we booked for Les Mis. That was our COVID one.
Yeah,
we booked for Les Mis.
And
that got cancelled. Yeah. I think this year we've booked for the Idols as well. I love the Idol. I like a bit of punk and aggression.
Okay.
I like a bit of anger to my music. So we were going to go to Cardiff to watch them, but that's May. So I reckon that's going to get bumped.
Yeah.
Surely.
Well, yes.
It's going to be on the edge. Cardiff. Yeah. Anyway. I know. Because Gabe, my son, he does musical theatre. So we went to watch, I'm okay with it. We went to watch Wicked.
Not seen it. Not
first half. It ends too good. You know, Defying Gravity.
Yeah.
Which is a massively brilliant song. That's the end of the first half.
Oh, okay.
So you're sort of like, oh,
where's it going to go from here?
It doesn't for me.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah. And then we went to watch the one with the children.
Matilda.
Matilda. Okay. Yeah. Again, brilliant staging, brilliant songs. Good. Yeah. But do you like the more traditional, more older, like Phantom, Les Mis?
Les Mis, Blood Brothers, which I had just seen like 8 times. What a music! What a piece of theatre!
I've heard that's brilliant.
It is. It's amazing, and I sob every time. Mamma Mia on stage before it was even the film was fantastic.
Oh, you went to watch it before it was filmed?
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. That's cool.
I've seen Grease on stage, which is brilliant. Whistle Down the Wind, which is so underrated, and yet, I mean, I would take church to go and see Whistle Down the Wind because
great black and white film. Great film.
But the musical version is fantastic.
Oh, okay.
It really is. It's just so powerful. I mean, I could just keep going, but it's those are the ones that I'm more.
I tried to watch a few of these things, when they came out in lockdown 1 and theatres were struggling, and they tried, like the old Vic might put something on filmed, but it just does not translate the theatre onto the TV. Yeah. However well they do it, you've really got to be in that space and be enveloped by the whole thing.
It's what we were saying about the whole kind of being involved, isn't it? Like we were saying with worship, it is the whole part of it that brings the whole person in.
Yeah. What the high church stuff? What is part of the drama of the high church? Something that you like? What makes you lean towards that? Were you brought up in the high church, or?
Well, I wasn't brought up in the church at all. So I didn't come to faith. So I was in my mid-20s, and came to faith in just the local parish church, which I guess was high. It was probably just trad, really.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Stapleton Church, which was low evangelical. Loved that. I've experienced a real freedom to worship that just hadn't experienced before.
Yeah.
Went to Frenche, which was higher again.
Was this part of your training?
Yeah. So I went to Frenche, which I would say is kind of middle of the road. No, really strong tradition, amazing worship underpinning it. And so it was a stretch to come here in terms of where I had grown up in faith. And yet I think there is something around the spirituality of this tradition, that it is it's Anglo-Catholic in nature.
Yeah. Which
for some people is, that must mean, smells and bells. Well, it is, but it's so not just that. And there's something around grappling a bit with, what's the theology underpinning it? And it is this idea of incarnation and really wanting to get the humanness of Jesus. And that to me is what happens when we're in an act of worship, when we're trying to engage all of the senses. We're really fully trying to be present. And I always said, I'll do anything if we know why we're doing it. If we're, banging a gong or
why?
Lighting a candle and nobody knows why, then we're just not going to do that.
That's really good.
But
I do like that thing you say that, all your worship with all your senses. So, whether it's, like you say, banging a gong or, incense or full regalia, whatever it is, there's something about that, the drama of that and the senses being connected to it, which draws you into God. Oh, that's really good. I didn't know you came from like middle all the way up.
I've tried. Well, I've tried a bit of it all, really.
Yeah.
And I guess I wouldn't want to then attach a label to myself.
No. I think what I found, especially getting to know you and being around you in church, is high church with a person who wants to go deep in a relationship with others. I think that's what I would say about you when I see you as a minister, as a person, and maybe we've heard that through the podcast, is somebody who lives this high church ministry, but is actually a very relational, very personable, very kind, very loving, very encouraging person that builds relationships. I think the danger of some high churches, it's so high and the ministers and the priests are so removed from the congregation, it can feel quite distant. Whereas I really, when I see you in action, you've really got that lovely mix of, high church and building relationships.
When I'm at the communion table and I'm about to do the Eucharist, my prayer always is, God, make this real for people. Make this a real thing.
That's a lovely thing.
My job, I think, is to kind of bring a reality to the story. It goes back to the remembering me. Well, let's make it as real as we can. Let's be in, and all of these signs and symbols. All of it is about allowing it to be real. A real experience.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's lovely to hear. Yeah, really good. Okay, so you go to your favorite restaurant.
Yeah.
You can have the best chefs in the world. You can have Gordon Ramsay doing your starter. You can have Marco Pierre White doing your mains. And you can have Wall's ice cream doing your dessert. I don't know.
Okay.
What would be your what would be your perfect meal?
I'm going in with a breaded mushroom to start.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm going in, and it's going to be a night where I'm not then going to see my husband afterwards, because I'm going to have some garlic mayonnaise on the side. So
no kissing.
That is it. No, you won't want to do any kissing because I'm having the garlic mayonnaise. And then for my main course, I would be going for, and again, my husband wouldn't be there because he wouldn't want to eat any of this. It's really interesting. But I would do a lovely stir-fried vegetable cauliflower rice strewn through with some kind of basil pesto, and in case that sounds really healthy, like loads of cheese, like off the scale. So like when you're eating it and you've got to almost use your fingers to pull the cheese apart.
Oh yeah,
that'd be my mains.
I didn't know. Are you a vegetarian?
No, I eat chicken and salmon, but otherwise I haven't eaten any red meat for probably about 30 years. And then for pudding, anything that kind of had a mango and raspberry combination. I would allow the chef to design me something that involved mango and raspberry, but definitely did not have any white chocolate in it.
Like a mango and raspberry swirl, and then
something
whatever
like
else.
A coulis or a sorbet or something like that.
No, that sounds really good.
Yeah,
that's good. And what I like about it is that you've obviously thought it through.
One of my main things is, where is the next meal coming from?
Oh no!
So I am definitely a live to eat, not eat to live kind of person.
No, I'm a foodie, definitely. And there's nothing. If I could choose a night out, it would be a night out in a restaurant.
Yeah,
that's where I'd put myself in a real lovely humdrum, the hubbub of people talking and chatting and eating, the clinking of drinking and all that stuff. I love that atmosphere. That is my perfect go-to atmosphere.
Yes.
A busy restaurant, and we've been to really nice restaurants where it's just so quiet and so
you feel so self-conscious.
It's horrible. So posh, And Heather says sometimes you just want to stand up and shout, "Up your bum!" and run out. Like, why are we here, Matt? This is not our place.
Yeah.
It is some people's places. But I love the restaurant life and I love the food life. It's great. That'd be nice to get back to post-COVID.
Please God, not too long. Well, I say not too long, but when it's right and when it's it's wise.
Lovely. So if you won the lottery, talking a lot of money, or if you inherited a lot of money from somebody, what would you do for it? Now, you could be completely selfish. You don't have to be nice. The real Becky can rise to the fore.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm going to get a Palomino pony.
Yeah.
Obviously. I think one of the things I've always had as a dream would be to open a retreat centre.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
And that would be it. I mean, I don't do the lottery anyway. Really don't like it.
So we're going for the inheritance.
It'd have to be inheritance. And I just think to have a retreat centre fairly local, miles, where there was just some lovely grounds, some real peaceful space. My soul friend that I was talking about, she is fantastic. She'd be in it. She'd be there doing spirit all over that spiritual direction. And that I think just providing a Christian retreat centre, if people just needed some time out, some peace and quiet, a safe place, sanctuary.
I mean, there might be people listening to this who are not of the faith and don't know what a retreat centre is. But having experienced stuff like that myself, they are unusually unique places. They can be. And in my previous church, a lady who'd been, as a baby, the classic thing in the 1950s, had a baby, her mum gave her up for adoption, sadly and tragically, because of it born out of wedlock, that thing. And she ended up living in a convent. And thank goodness it was a good convent story, which I think predominantly they probably were. And sadly, we hear the 10%
we just hear the bad
cruelty
stuff.
and awful human beings. Anyway, when she was a part of my church in the mid 2005 sort of thing, she found her spiritual mum, who was now the Mother Superior of a convent in Derby. And it was a silent order and we were allowed to go. So I drove her there. And honestly, when I walked through the doors of that convent, it was just so uniquely different. The peace and the contentment in that place just conflicted with me. It was like walking into a force field of love. I can't describe it.
And that's it. I mean, we describe sometimes those experiences of thin places where the gap between heaven and earth is like, you can just feel it. And for me, that's what a retreat centre allows, is calm, peace, sanctuary. We would say prayer, but it wouldn't necessarily be that for other people. It might just be, you spoke earlier about getting off that hamster wheel. Sometimes we just need to be given permission to rest, to sleep, to read, and to be given those spaces for intervention if people want it, the opportunity for conversation. You could come and do a bit of coaching,
freshgroundcoaching.com.
I just think that to me would be the dream.
That's lovely. It is really great. I mean, if you could take one luxury item into your dream, what luxury item would you get for yourself?
Well, obviously, I mean, I don't want to keep on about the Palomino pony, but she's coming.
Well, that could be like an art therapy thing. No, a pony therapy.
I'd have a paddock with loads. Come riding. I'm just rubbish at this stuff, Matt. I'm just not. It's just not. I'm not into the stuff. Like a friend of mine would be straight away. Well, it would be such Michael Kors watch, handbag.
That's me.
I don't even know what the labels are. I find it hard to think of what was something really material. I'm looking around now.
I think you're right. I mean, I'm not particularly materialistic in the sense of stuff, but actually, I've got loads of stuff. Lovely laptop. No idea.
A load of candles. I'd have to have endless candles.
I just, by doing that, I've just knocked my microphone off. Oh no, it's back.
Actually, I tell you what, it would also be probably, which is my little addiction that I've got.
Okay.
Yes, to the world. Paperback books. I cannot go to the supermarket without buying at least one, probably two paperback books. So it would probably be
library of
paperback books that are not theology.
I am a Kindle man myself, looking after them trees.
But
it's funny, isn't it? I think you've got to break. It's funny. I found it easy to segue into the Kindle. And partly it's because Heather goes to sleep before me, so I can't have a light on next to me. So I've had to go Kindle with the backlight so I can do my little thing.
But the thing is, when you're holding a Kindle and you fall asleep, it's not if a book lands on your head, it's quite gentle. A Kindle does it. My God, you know it.
Oh, that's good though. No, it's fine. No, it's your money. It's your inheritance.
The library of paperback books has sold me on that.
Definitely. See, I'm a pulp fiction person too, and I just love to be entertained like that. I'm not great at reading theology books, and I'm more a visual thinker. I learn more. I prefer this. I like people to tell me and talk and converse and learn through that.
Yeah.
Just to bury my head in a book, I find very, very difficult to concentrate and to not concentrate, but to retain. I'm definitely when I did a couple of MA modules, and that was probably the best learning I'd done, because we were around in circles, listening to other people's papers, and then chit-chatting. So, yeah. Right. Well, cool. Who knows? Some secret billionaire.
Invest in my retreat centre.
Uncle Bob, that you never knew existed.
Hey. Okay, Uncle Bob.
Get on it. All right. Okay. Oh, Becky, it's been awesome. We have got one last question, but just thank you for being with us. It's so good. So 2020, COVID, nearly a year now. We were closing things down last February. Lots of disappointed faces, lots of projects closing down, and then moving into the first lockdown. Really, I found that it was very stressful, that 6 weeks before COVID. So, but we want to finish on a optimistic, Michael Bublé, it's a wonderful day thing. What would you like to take away from COVID? What would you like to hold on to? What do you think we need to retain into the future that you've learned through these months?
So I think one of the things that, and this is the gospel, like coming to life in front of our eyes, is raising up who we now know to be the essential workers. Yeah. Like we now know really who the key workers are. And it's nothing to do with power or status or money or belongings, but all to do with compassion and service. And so that's for me huge. Let's not forget, let's raise up who we now know are the essential workers, who are the people that really are the backbone of our society. I think there's something that I hope we've learned as a global identity, that doing things globally is much better. So you know, the global response to the vaccination, to those sorts of things, like that's amazing. Let's not lose that. Personally, just remembering simple pleasures. So this time last year, we didn't know that was the last time we were going to do a load of stuff. And so the simple stuff, I would love us to kind of just see what pleasure there can be in such simplicity. That's lovely. Yeah. And I guess that what I also have loved, and I hope we continue, is there's been kind of an automatic, inevitable coming alongside compassionately people in need. Yeah. We've seen it, haven't we, in the area, the way that neighbours have reached out to neighbours, this mutual aid. We see it with the food hub here. Just it is that kind of course, that's what we're going to do. Why would we do other than to reach out and help each other? Yeah, and it's a very natural human reaction. Yeah. And I think prior to COVID, everybody was so busy, and we live in such a broken empire of consumerism and those invisible forces that were pushing us away from people very subtly. Yeah. But definitely pushing us away from that community, tribal, how can we help you? How can we be a good neighbor? Yeah. How can we care for you? Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, Becky, thank you for being with us. Thank you. It's been great. Yeah. I mean, it's nice for me, these things, because, you know, we get to chat, we meet up every now and then, we see each other at the Fubo the last few, you know, we see each other, don't we? But it's so nice to be able to get to know you more and to chat like this. When did we meet? Well, yeah, exactly. There's always been another kind of, because the nature of it is, there's a reason for meeting. There's something we have to get sorted, but this has been great. Yeah. It's been really good. I've loved it. Well, we deeply appreciate it. Thank you so much for all the work you do in the community. You're awesome. Well, right back at you. Lots of love to your church. I'm going to press stop on the record. Okay. Thank you very much. Bless you. Bless you.